Hey, good afternoon, everybody, and time for another weekly update. You know what I'm going to say, so don't need to say it.
See and hear.
Awesome. So you might hear it in my voice. It's a little bit off. I was out earlier this week with some back issues, and for those guys and gals who followed, any game I've done in the last 20 years know that, yeah, this is pretty common for me. But because of that, I've been taking steroids so I could actually come back to the office this week. So this time they've really messed with my voice. So it's probably going to be a very short one today. Sorry about that, but doing the update today isn't easy. And Tyler, also taking steroids for something entirely different. Also, his voice is going. So yeah, this is not going to be a long one. Sorry, guys. On the other hand, it's another good one. Lots of things to talk about. Very productive week, and hopefully we'll have a test this weekend. We are trying to track down a bug in the terrain generation system or regeneration system that is happening with our newest scenario, number 2. And we're hoping to get you alphas in this week for that. We might also have a crafting test, but probably not. That will happen next week. We've had an internal crafting test which went quite well. So, I think next week is going to be, full of testing. So, top 10-ish, let's go. Number 1. Hey, what was number 1? Testing. So, again, we've been doing a lot of testing on the new servers, Nawada Prep, Hawking, we're moving everything around for Beta 1. As well as for the kind of investigative work we've been doing with Google, actually, for their Google Cloud service. So all is going very, very well with both. Number 2, work in progress, design, taking. So while I was sitting up for some of this week, I spent most of it working on the taking document as well as the taking calculator. So I talked about that in my last update. I'm getting it ready now to share with the team. But yeah, lots of progress there, and kind of happy with how things are turning out so far. Number 3, work in progress, tech, the Coherent integration. So what is Coherent? So Coherent GT is a company we've known and have been talking with forever. We made a deal with them a couple years ago to integrate Coherent GT into our game to give us some good perf gains as well as a lot more power in working with things like RUI and mods. Frankly, because of time constraints, we didn't want to mess with it. Again, we had a deal with these guys. They were actually very good about that, but we just never used it. We have started to use it, and George, of course, our tech director out in the West Coast, and awesome lead client programmer and all other good stuff, has taken the reins reins for it. There we go. I knew I'd get the word eventually, and has started work on integration. So the timing is right for that. This will not affect the opening of Beta 1 at all. This is a task that George had plenty of time for, and expect to see very good things and a very smooth sail for the integration. Number 4, another work in progress, tech, updated item tooltips. So AJ is wrapping up his work on the first rough pass of item tooltips, sort of a handy thing. Obviously, we had a much older version of them working in the past. This one will be a lot better. Number 5, work in progress, tech, banes and boons. So Rob has made a very handy dev UI allowing Ben to assign traits to himself or other people for testing. Just another thing we need to do to get into Beta 1. Number 6, tech, new scenario format and capture the flag changes. So Caleb has made changes to the current scenario. So basically what we did is we had everyone jump in as a Viking and just had the NPCs go all medieval on those poor Vikings. We've also been doing things as well with the whole capture the flag mechanic. So again, Beta 1, just another item that we need to have ready to go. Number 7, another work in progress, taking and placing objects in buildings. You've heard the term BPO, building placed objects. That's what we've been working on. We talked about this in at least 2 updates, but work is going very nicely. Number 8, hey, the ARCs are back. Tim has brought back our bots/ARCs, and we've been running regression tests on them, seeing how they're performing, and we are getting better again each week. We had a bit of a perf loss that I think I talked about in my last update, and now we're back to where we think we're back to where we should be. We're using the bots both on AWS and on GCP. Number 8, another pass on another item for building placed objects. Matt made a lot of progress on the first pass, and using and with support from AJ and Christina, we're close to having the ability to deploy items and siege engines in specific positions with specific rotations. So all of that, again, necessary for Beta 1. Number 10, an art item, Characters 2.0. So this week John finished the TDD Heavy Armor and completed everything but the materials on the full court armor for the TDD. So we expect to have that done very early next week, and hopefully soon thereafter get to use them. Number 11, another art item, work in progress on the second scenario. So Dion and Tyler continued adding assets to the zone. What you'll see this weekend is truly, if all goes well, is truly a very rough pass. It is not the final. It's not even close to the final version, but this is what we have so far. We've been playing in it for days. It mostly works. The issue with the terrain being, the big sticking point for us. But we hope to get you folks in to see it and get a feel for what will be coming in terms of the next scenario. Number 12, another work in progress, Art VFX 2.0. So we've been improving the look of our VFX. Michelle has been helping out on the concept art, and Mike has been improving the work he had done, the quick work he had done in the past. So we are going to focus on this, obviously now and going into beta. And one of the best ones, I think, to start with are the Mjolnirs. Number 13, art sound effects. So DB has been going through and looking to get some performance gains, as well as to limiting some of the noise. We had a lot of different sounds going off when we were doing, of course, large-scale scenario testing, as well as bot battles. And so DB is looking to see what he can do to make that less a cacophony and more comprehensible, I guess would be one way to look at it.
Harmonious?
Harmonious. I like that, harmonious. Number 14 is another art item, new ability animations and class idols. So Sandra finished the Forest Stalkers new ability animation and began work on the Winter Shadow this week. Scott also finished the Empath's ability animation and is now working through secondary animations for the Black Knight. Joe blocked out several poses for the Fianna idol and began work on the class unique ability this week as well. So the last item, number 15, work in progress, various pieces of concept art. So this is focusing on the flag spawn point, and the flag receptacle models. So, as usual, Michelle will be doing great work there. Hand it over to John, who'll be doing great work. And then we'll put it in the game, and let's see what you guys and gals think. So, that's it on the 15. Let's go quickly to some Q&A. We've got a box to open. Hopefully it's a gift. You never know. I'll try to wrap this up probably by 4:30 today.
All right. Give us your questions. Odilvik passes along a question from Rhaegar. Rhaegar requests to know, will there be a special kind of metal that will aggravate the Veil less that melee stealthers can use that will help when they exit it?
Whether it will be a metal or it will be a leather, still to be determined. But yes, there will be materials that are meant to aggravate the Veil less.
Sacrix asks, we know it's most likely we will not see commands for the game like stick and face and assist. However, what is your view on friendly/follow commands, and can it work with friendly collision?
Moving on. I mean, this is a question that you guys have asked constantly, and when we're ready to talk about it, we will talk about it.
Dark Society Network asks, with deflection animations triggering automatically, will shield orientation matter in battle, or is every impact, be it melee or arrow, be calculated by stats, etc., instead of physical factors?
No, physical factors will absolutely play a role in the final version. What we have right now is obviously not the final version.
Where to Greece on the YouTube chat asks, during a lot of time the round arch was used for buildings like aqueducts or churches, but thanks to the pointed arch we have tall Gothic cathedrals. Will Cube have that kind of weight simulation?
Yes. We're hoping. I should say, yes, we are hoping that will happen.
Adric Cortesia asks, what do you think about subscription-based crafting? Something like send me 200 arrows every Monday and you get X amount of gold. With special containers, load a sum of gold, the crafter can only remove the designated amount on that day, and only if the item was placed in there in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. Essentially, this is similar to a system I discussed before. It's something I wanted to do for Warhammer as well. So yeah, absolutely.
Sacrix asks, do you see any conflicts between friendly spell collision and friendly body collision being too much together?
Is it possible it's too much? Yeah, absolutely. Do we think it will be? We hope not. And look, this is one of the things that has to come out during large-scale testing. If it turns out that the whole friendly collision thing and the friendly, air thing just doesn't make sense, then we'll change it. Would I like it to work? Absolutely. Do I think it will work? Yeah, I think it will. Could it be that it won't work? Yeah, absolutely. At the end of the day, we're not trying to make, obviously, a physics simulator of a magical medieval world. We're trying to make a great game. So if something that, even though it makes sense to have these abilities which can interact with each other and then you can collide with, both friendlies and enemies, if that just makes the game not fun, we'll change it. I certainly am not so strong in my belief that we have to have those things. Would I like to have them? Yeah, but if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It has to go.
Campanabit asks, how would you prevent new players from making mistakes while choosing their banes and boons when making their character?
We won't. I mean, that's just the bottom line. We will lay it all out. There will be guides that you can read, hopefully videos that you can listen to beforehand, but it's up to you. We've said right from the beginning that this is not going to be a hand-holdy game. This is not going to be a game where your choices don't matter. Could you make bad choices and gimp your character? Absolutely. We've said that right from the get-go. and we certainly are going to stick to it.
Inky G asks, I've heard a lot about caravans. How much will NPCs be involved in those? Will there be caravans made up of 100% NPCs, or are caravans driven and organized by players?
Well, I think both are certainly going to happen. You need to have some certainly NPC-driven caravans. It's up to the players though to organize. I would think the really special ones. I mean, let's face it. No matter what we do with the NPCs, unless we make them purposely overpowered and majorly OP, you guys are going to figure out how to kill them. And if that's the case, then whether we failed or other developers have failed to make smart NPCs that are either not so OP that you can't defeat them, or are just right, so at least it's a battle. You're going to realistically prefer to use players to caravan your most valuable materials from one place to another.
Necron asks, will there really be quests or tasks with contracts that are made by players?
Oh yeah. I mean, we've said that also from the beginning that we want that. It actually isn't all that hard because, having a player say that, for example, hey, this other player in this realm has a piece of my soul, if you can bring that to me, I'll reward you, and lays out the rewards. That's not a huge technical feat for us. So yeah, I see that as absolutely something we'll have in the game.
Loco 179 says, thank you for saying make the game fun.
Fun is what counts. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what my idea is, or Ben's idea, or Andrew's idea is. If it's not fun, if it doesn't make for a great game, then we have to either make that idea great somehow, or take it out. Unless nobody has a better idea than that. But yeah, focus on fun. That's the key.
Lord Chalk asks, what roadmap do you have for the game data API and timeline on its availability relative to beta?
I'm not quite sure what you mean, because in terms of APIs, people, obviously our mod squad is happily making mods for the game right now, and we're certainly sharing a lot of data. So if there's something specifically you're looking for in terms of what we're exposing, let me know. But in general, this is an ongoing thing for us and has been. We don't mind exposing a whole bunch of the data to the guys and gals on the mod squad.
The man with no screen name is trying to troll me into song lyrics. But moving on, Dark Society Network asks, where do you draw the line between gathering and harvesting in regards to CU? And if there are player-grown fields, will every plot be suitable for it?
Okay, so where do I draw the line there? First, would I like to have player-owned plots where you could take materials from? Absolutely. That's something we said we're looking to do. Will they all be suitable? Depending on how you want to define the size of a plot, right? If you say that the plot is huge, big enough to build a castle on, then the answer is sure. There are going to be parts of it that will be suitable. If you define plot sizes, varied plot sizes, would some be potentially more suitable? Maybe. That sort of thing gets into biomes and specific terrain types and objects on the terrain and the mods that we're doing for the procedural generation. But yes, I would like to be able to have that sort of insight into very specific parts of a plot, so you could actually say, hey, this part over here isn't suitable for planting.
Mihuge asks, how will Coherent affect Mod Squad in terms of licensing?
Oh, not at all. Not at all. This is something we discussed with them beforehand. You guys aren't getting the Coherent code. You guys are still just using and making changes to our API, so there isn't any issue with that.
All right. A bit of a lengthy question from Svayon. With the focus on differences between night and day and various abilities that allow for vision and detection, in some games, when you are supposed to have limited vision, you can mess with brightness and gamma setting. With the heavy mechanics revolving around scouts, camouflage, and stealthers, has this been given any thought?
Sure. We are not only aware of the gamma setting issue on various games, but I'm sure some of us have done the exact same thing. So will there be some things we can't stop? Yeah, of course. But if you look at stealth, for example, if you look for people hiding in the darkness, if we don't send the data that there's a character hiding in the darkness, then it really doesn't matter if you turn up the gamma. You know, not really, okay? Maybe now you see the outline of the castle a bit earlier, but if you don't have the player data there, then turning that gamma up did not do you any real good. So, you know, and that's really the key. It's all about the player data, because you guys are going to be playing through the game. You're going to know the areas. You're going to get very familiar with the terrain. So, you know, being able to put your gamma up so it's not dark or not as dark will help you a little bit. But as long as that player data isn't sent down, then it won't help you a lot.
On the YouTube chat, Kazadore asks, could you shed light on how warfare is going to exhaust or risk the resources of a faction, order, guild, and player, like dropping loot on death, repairs, consumables, etc.?
Well, you've just named a whole bunch of them. The consumables are obviously a big part as well, and not in the sense of, you know, potions consumable, but consumable things, you know, essentially like catapults, siege weapons. All of that are things that will be used and then either will break or will be taken or will be just left. So you're going to have to spend resources on that, just as you would typical consumables like potions. You know, waging war is supposed to not be cheap, so it will be expensive to buy these things or to get these things or to build these things. So, you know, large battles, and Eve has been used as an example to compare to, you know, our thinking and other games' thinkings as well. So, you know, these very powerful siege engines need to have a, you know, a significant cost. And so, yes, all of that is going to factor into the game, needs to factor into the game. And, you know, if we don't do it right, then it sort of renders the whole point of these large battles not meaningless, but less meaningful.
Odilvik asks, in character creation, might it be possible to launch a small test area with an advanced test character of that class, with target dummies, etc., so new players can get a feel for the endgame class?
Sure. If you mean launch it once you've created the character, yes, we've already talked about something like that. If you mean launch it from the character creator itself, probably not. You know, not with a half-finished character. It makes things... it makes a lot of extra work that is just not... whether it's worth our time or not is a good question, but it certainly is not something we would have the time to do on any schedule I've considered.
Muertegrease asks, Richard Garriott created a virtual ecology for Ultima Online, but the players killed everything, and that part of the code was removed. Have you any plans for avoiding the destruction of the game's ecosystem?
Well, what Richard and obviously, you know, other folks have, you know, tried to do, you know, certainly has had mixed results in MMOs. The differences with this game, we have, you know, 20 years of lessons from other games, and, you know, one of the differences, for example, between UO and Unchained is that in UO you didn't have the 3-realm combat. You didn't have the separation like we have between the realms, which prevents people from your own realm from messing up your ecology. So, you know, could we build a real ecology in this game? Sure, of course we can. Is it something that we're really trying to do? No, not really. We want to build, you know, you hate to just call them props, but essentially that's what they are. your whether it's fields that you can harvest from, whether it's animals that you can take from. All this stuff is being put there for you folks to use. We're not trying to create an ecology where all the flora and fauna are interconnected and one builds on the other and they all really have to be balanced out. We're not trying to do that. Again, I think we could, and the big difference is the whole tri-realm thing, but it's not something we're focused on.
Both Saccharix and Vessier are asking, will the other two realms get a unique mechanic like the Ulfi rage mechanic?
Each of the realms are going to have, obviously, things, if not similar to what the Ulfies do. I'm not going to try, especially with the way my voice is sounding and feeling right now. But yes, each realm will have very unique abilities, very unique mechanics, as we promised really from the get-go. These are not, as you folks know, we have no mirrored races, we don't have mirrored classes. So yeah, we don't, by definition, we will have a whole bunch of non-mirrored mechanics. Now, some mechanics are mirrored. Hey, I'm just swinging a sword. We've said that from the beginning. Of course, you can't come up with, unique things for everything, but that's not the point. The point is, can we come up with a lot of unique things for each of the realms? And the answer is absolutely yes.
I forgot to say 5-minute warning.
Yes, please.
5-minute warning, folks. Lodoween asks, if everyone will be able to create blueprints of their buildings, how will the reward in the living large tier be differentiated from any other player-designed house?
Oh, that's easy. So the living, sorry, and you can hear it, the voice is just about gone. The living large tier, just as we said during the Kickstarter, will have special materials, they'll have special items that they can use. That tier will be able to create things that other players can't. The blueprints that are used to build theirs will not be portable unless they're using all common materials. So there's not a concern at all with the living large folks. They will all get the ability within the tier to have unique and very unique buildings.
On the YouTube chat, Will Livingston asks, is the Slaughter Wolf melee?
Oh God, I would hope so. Otherwise it would be boring. With a great name like the Slaughter Wolf, and you're not going to actually be able to do anything?
Sketch It on the YouTube chat asks, will there be swimming or any kind of underwater mechanics in the game, or will our characters just swim on the surface of water?
Oh, we've had underwater mechanics from the beginning. It's called drowning. So, as far as swimming, what we've said so far is that, again, as we're trying to make this not a hand-holdy game, and while not to, try to model realism, things like swimming in armor, not going to happen. Well, they'll happen, but not for very long. Think of yourself going out there carrying, 80 pounds, 100 pounds of equipment and all that, and how that would work while you're trying to swim, a lake. Expect lots of drowning. Expect death. Water needs to be something that an obstacle that you have to overcome. And if you can do it like you can in most, not all games, where you can swim in heavy armor with the giant backpack of things on your back, yeah, that takes out the whole point of actually having water. So yeah, don't expect to see a lot of swimming skills. Don't expect to see people just going and swimming the whatever we end up calling the various bays and channels in the final map. They expect drowning.
All right, this might be a nice one to end on. Brand asks, when it comes to PvP, What is the greatest thing you have learned not to do when designing a good PvP system?
Oh my God. Yeah, that is a really good question. It's the number one thing not to do. Oh, this will piss some of you off. That's perfect. Not to trust everything the players tell us. I mean, that's the bottom line. And it's not because you folks, most of you, lie. It's because everyone has a different impression on things. Everyone is playing and has a slightly different version of reality. And yes, some people will absolutely lie. But that's something that I've said actually right from the beginning of this Kickstarter, that we have to do things like I've done in the past, which is, whether it's private teams of folks who, report to us about what they think is going on in the game, or the strike teams, or that we've had in the past, or the team lead program that we had in the past, or metrics. It's a matter of getting as much data from as many sources as possible, and not to be overly affected by what a minority of people on the forums can say. It's not that everybody lies, even though that's something House always said in the TV show. But a lot of times people just have a different opinion of things, or there are things going on that the player was unaware of at the time when they reported, "Oh my God, look at what just happened to me." And so it's really important to gather lots of information. And whether, again, it's your trusted testers or your team lead or your strike team leads, it's all a matter of getting all the data you can before you make a decision that could end up biting you in the butt. And so that's what we plan on doing. We've told you guys and gals right from the beginning, we want to put out a lot of information for you. We want to give you the ability to help us by giving you the data that you need. So we're going to keep doing that. We're going to be obviously spending a fair amount of time on our metrics tools going forward. We already have some. We need to have a lot more. And hopefully we'll do it the right way. We'll make mistakes. Everyone always does. But I can guarantee you they won't be mistakes because we got lazy, or because we, trusted the wrong people too much. We have to pay attention. We have to have tools to help us, and we have to do things the right way. Because in a PvP game, unlike a PvE game, if we make a big mistake, the ramifications of that are obviously much more significant than if you make a mistake on a class in a PvE game. So hopefully we'll do things the right way. Having said that, let's open the box.
Yeah.
And then I'll sign off because, as you guys can hear, my voice is getting worse and worse by the minute. So let's see what we got. Says it's a gift. Over under?
Get fancy with it. Does it say who it's from?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Do you know?
I don't know.
Okay, it didn't say if we can say that, but I'll assume that we can. So this is from Ludovic. It says, the office seems void of cool mugs. This will hopefully change over the next few months. So we've got some mugs.
Ludovic says in chat, it's me, so it was definitely okay to say.
Oh, okay. So this is the Doctor Who TARDIS.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which is cool.
Dion's saying off screen, I love Doctor Who, if you can't hear her.
And this one quacks me up.
Uh-oh. Howard the Duck. Awesome.
Without a doubt, the worst movie George Lucas ever made. Right. Right. You and a few others. So, folks, thank you as always for your patience. We thank you for your support. Thanks for understanding the very short update, but as you could hear, voice is just getting worse and worse. I'll keep you updated about whether there's going to be a test this weekend. We're hoping still to have an alpha test on one of the new servers. We may end up just being a hatchery test. We'll see. We're getting in code. Always fun at the last minute that we think will fix the terrain issue. If it does, then we will have at least one test this weekend. But we'll talk about that in the update. If not, expect lots of tests, lots of testing next week. We do want to have crafter testing next week, and we do want to have, absolutely want to have scenario 2 testing next week. And you'll see a big difference in terms of the layout of the map for scenario 2 than for the very simple scenario 1 that we have. And as always, it just gets better from here.
Awesome. So would a Howard the Duck mug be worse than a Jar Jar Jar?
Was that the man with no screen name?
No, that was me.
Oh, that was you. Oh, gosh. I figured that's something the man would say. Yeah, a Jar Jar Jar. Yeah, as I consider Jar Jar Binks one of the worst characters ever created in film. I would not enjoy that.
He does say that was a good one, so thanks to the man.
Yeah, it was a good one.
All right, well, keep an eye out for our videos. We'll see you later. Sorry, emails, not videos.
Yeah.
See you later.